Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Rachel Lavin, published author of the Diaries, professional speaker, body love educator, certified personal trainer, and a certified health coach. Welcome to the show, Rachel.
Hi, AJ. Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show. And I'm sure a lot of people will benefit from what you are going to advise, share your tips, not only in India, but across the globe where this show is being sharing right now, live right now, and later on we'll put it out on all the different platforms, including the audio platform. So my first question to you, Rachel, is to understand your mission is to create a safe space for all women to feel whole in this own body. So what's wrong with our bodies, especially women, and why do some people feel that they are not in that perfect shape or size, and that is where the problem begins. Is it a problem of your own creation, or is it the problem created by society or also by industry? How do you see it? That help us understand. Let's start our discussion with that.
Okay. I think that's a beautiful question. And I will say, I think that all three of those things play a role. I think it's the diet industry. I think it's our society, how we see other people. And it's definitely a creation of our own minds as well. So can you imagine having all three of those things come at you at once all day, every day for decades of your life? That's why I think we're finally so exhausted. And I think that it's so important that we're taking this next step.
Right, Rachel. So if you were to look at your own life and the learnings that you had along the way, if you were to look at, say, yourself 20 years back or much more earlier than that, then what would you say to your younger self? What has been your learning in this whole fight about this, taking care of your weight? According to your perception, it was on the higher side. And how did you come out of all these things with this? Maybe somebody who is say in the early 20, 25, 30s, they can, understand from your tips what exactly your learnings have been. What would you like to tell them if they are, unnecessarily worried about their weight? Or maybe, I don't know, sometimes weight gain can be a medical issue. So what would you like to tell to your younger self, and through that to thousands and thousands of women in different corners of the world?
The first thing I would tell my 20-year-old self is all the things that you're afraid that you're not: smart, funny, beautiful. You already are all those things. And that is exactly the same advice I would give any 20-year-old person who was sitting in front of me feeling like they're not enough. I would tell them that they are. And I also believe that it's very important to understand, like you said, there are medical things to take in consideration, but the stronger that you have a positive relationship with your own body and you listen to your body's signals, I think you're going to be able to differentiate between I don't feel okay today versus I don't feel healthy. And so that's what I really strive to tell clients and people that come to me for my expertise, is that really paying attention to your body is key to longevity.
Right, Rachel. So, in terms of your own fight with your own thought process in terms of weight and other issues, and then you went to write your book, the Diaries, so and the different type of struggles with different type of diets. So, what would you like to tell the people, or especially women, in terms of diet? When there is a problem of, say, weight gain, people start losing, questioning themselves. Then it impacts their confidence. They think that the whole world is worried about their weight and not about their problems. That can be. And then there is this whole thing that starts with different sort of diets. So when you when people come to you, when your clients come to you, what do you suggest them in terms of diets? What would you like to tell people who are struggling with weight gain in terms of diet? Now, earlier there used to be veg, then there used to be non-veg, and now there are the vegans. And I don't know. And then there are different sort of diets, keto diets, and I don't know. I don't know about any of them because I don't follow any of them, and neither I am interested in following any of them, except that I have to make sure that I don't eat unnecessarily. Okay, so help us understand about this whole diet business, weight business, and keeping yourself fit. What should women aim for? Fitness, and in what sense? And how should they look at diet? How should they look at weight? Weight you have already mentioned, but in terms of diet, especially.
That's a full question there, AJ. So let me start by saying this. The diet industry is a 6 billion with a B industry. And I also want to say that every single diet works in the beginning. So let me say that again. Every diet works in the beginning. And that's why we are always striving to do the next diet and the next diet, because of course it works until it doesn't. So I would tell anyone, but I would tell women and men alike, that your body is so smart. It knows when it needs energy. It knows when it needs rest. It knows when it needs certain things. So by us trying to convince ourselves that we're not hungry, that we're eating too much, or we're not eating the right foods, that comes with just educating yourself. I think it's important to know what foods resonate with our bodies, because there are some that's not going to agree with you. But I also believe that the more we leave our bodies alone to do what they need to do, the less stress we put on our bodies. And think about that. Putting yourself on a very restrictive diet is actually putting stress on your body. So the next thing I would say about that is that if we could all find some kind of movement that feels good to us, because our bodies are meant to move.
Right.
Our bodies are meant to move in any way that feels good to you. So I think that the important lesson here is to ditch diets, stop restricting, eat foods that make us feel good, and move the way our bodies feel good. And if we could all just start doing that, not only would we eventually put the diet industry out of business, but we would all feel so much better and be more healthy.
Absolutely. Eat what makes you feel good. But then also tell us, how should people be, happy with their own bodies? Many a times, whatever you eat, even if you are, say, fit,
Mm-hmm.
even if you are within the weight range that one should be, but it's in the mind. People want to be that whole thing. Many of them want to be as thin as possible. They
Mm-hmm.
want to be as, I don't know what. Everybody has their own perception in their own manner. So
Right.
how do you take care of the mind part so that it tells you to be, to accept your body the way it is, and do things the right way, to be fit the right way, to live the right way, and and to see yourself the right way, the way
Mm-hmm.
that God has made you, and the way whatever best can be done should be done, but
Yeah.
not to be unnecessarily worried about things that perhaps do not exist or exist only in your mind. How do I accept my body the best way possible? How do you tell your clients? How do you tell others when you do that?
I think I have to really stress the fact that it's important to know where you're at this moment. Are you a person who has an occasional bad thought about your body? Are you someone where it's, for me, like it was for me, relentless, where it's from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed? And I think it's important to know that if you embrace your trauma that ever got you to this point, or the one thing that someone told you 20 years ago about your body, and you took it as that it was the end all be all to how you saw yourself, and start to dismantle that and start to break that down and deal with those feelings and emotions. That's what I really try to put forth in my book, is that you can't move forward without cleaning up your past first. And so that's what I tell the people in my life that when you're ready, because I don't want to push someone before they're ready, but when you're ready to just or to make the decision that you want to be happy, you have to do the work to get there. And you have to change those negative thoughts to positive thoughts. And you have to speak kindly to yourself. That's very important. You can't go through life and expect to have joy and happiness if all you're doing is telling yourself how fat and ugly you are.
Right, right, Rachel. So here the thing comes. Tell us about body love. Is it about Is it about loving a perceived image, or is it about loving your actual self? How does it work? About what does body love mean? I understand it perhaps only in a very restrictive manner, but you will be the one who can actually give us the true meaning of the word.
For me, body love is what I just mentioned to you. It stems from how you feel about yourself. There are so many words that are being thrown around these days to explain how to love your body or how to be okay with your body. And all those words are fine. But for me, if I didn't get to the point where I loved myself, I could never love my body. And so those two for me, hand in hand. I have to love myself, who I am, who Rachel is, and of course, what Rachel looks like. So body love is all encompassing, in my opinion.
Okay, okay. But somebody who does not, who is, say, they think that, okay, it's very difficult for me to love myself or love my body the way I am. And it can just get ingrained deep into your mind. When is it that, somebody who has this sort of a thought process, when is it the time for them to visit the gym, the trainer, personal trainer, or whatever ways one can want to, or is it the time to look at the mental health side of the problem and actually visit a therapist? How do you look at this? Is it a mental problem or issue, or is it something like something related to fitness? How should one look at it? If this body image or body love, negative body image that comes to your mind, how should and it continues to for a good amount of time, then how should you address this issue? What's the best way to do it?
That is a great question. And the best way is to find out where this person is at. I think this is an individual journey. I do want to stress that it is both, right? We need to move our body, but we also need to deal with our emotions and our mental part of that. That's why I always tell other trainers and other fitness and wellness professionals that it takes a village to help someone. You're only one person and you can't do it all. So it's good to have a relationship with a therapist, with a doctor, with a nutritionist. That way you can refer your clients to the right people who you trust. So it's not just a one size fits all answer, AJ. I'm sorry to tell you. I think it's all the above. And how you choose to start is really up to you. I just think the best advice is just to start.
Okay, the best way. And you talked about that our bodies are for the movement. A lot of times we just don't do that. Earlier, even in my case now, it has reduced. But earlier, if I remember, when these phones and all these things were not there, social media were then, the first thing you used to do is to get out of bed and move around, perhaps even go out, and that used to bring you in a very different sort of a mood. But nowadays, a lot of times, for whatever reasons, the body movement is restricted, and most of the movement is happening at home, especially if one is a, say, homemaker, or people who are working from home, and that is where it gets. And then there is the social media. Your phones are in your hand. That's the first thing you pick up. The second thing you pick up is a glass of coffee, and then and all the bad habits that you have picked up along the way. So how should one look at this part of the morning ritual in terms of the less movement, then the social media aspect of it with the phone in your hand?
Yeah.
How much impact is it having? How should we come out of this routine? Perhaps then it might also help in taking care of your the movement part as well as your mental peace part also. How do you look at it?
I think it's really important to find out what your time of day that you like to be active. For me, I am a morning person, but there are some people who are more night owls. So it's important to know that about yourself and
Okay.
how you start your day. I agree with you 100% is so important. And you're right. The phones are right there at all times. And I think that it's okay to be bored. It's okay to not have something to focus on for 2 minutes. Use that 2 minutes to go climb a flight of stairs or have a glass of water or go, even look out the window. And sometimes looking at what a beautiful day it is, it motivates you to want to get outside. I think you are so right that these phones, although they are convenient and they're amazing and they're wonderful, but we've forgotten how to socialize. We've forgotten how to just be with each other. And I think that depending on where you live, you could, get a friend and go for a morning walk. Go walk to go get your coffee or go walk to go get your breakfast. I think there's so many ways to approach this. And again, I think it's an individual thing.
Absolutely, it's an individual thing, and everybody has to take their individual journey. Like you have put your journey in your book, The Doughnut Diaries. So, tell us about this book a bit, and secondly, who is this book for? Who can learn from this, from your journey that you have put into it?
I believe that even though I wrote this so that no woman would ever feel alone again, I wrote it for everyone who has ever struggled with their weight or struggled with loving themselves or struggled with any of those combined. But my book is really my story of how I started, with dieting and how I used to treat myself and treat my body, and how when I turned 40, I decided that enough was enough. And I wanted to figure out how to spend the latter half of my life happy. And the steps that I took and still take to this day that make me close my eyes at the end of every day and be grateful for what I have and grateful for everything I'm doing. And I am a genuinely happy person. But I also want to say that, this journey started 10 years ago, and there are still moments where I look at my body and think something negative. But I am so grateful that I have enough experience behind me and enough positive things to say that I can get out of that space very quickly.
Right, right, Rachel. You talk about three pillars of fitness: nourishment for both the mind and body, movement, we talked about, and rest.
Mm.
People don't rest nowadays. Even I am guilty of that. But how can you? Are there any tips for so that people can have enough rest for themselves?
Of course. Well, I also want to say that rest can look like so many different things. It doesn't have to mean doing absolutely nothing. It can just mean doing something different than what you do every other day of the week. So if you don't take a walk with your significant other, or your brother, or your sister, or your mom or dad, or a friend, go take a walk. Pick one day a week where you just don't have to be so regimented and do your routine. Or it can be, laying on the couch and binge watching a show all day. I think the more we realize and give ourselves permission to just stop for a while and rest and make that a part of our daily life, it really does rejuvenate you for the following week. It does mentally and physically rest you for the next steps and for the next week and for the next month. So I highly recommend it.
Wonderful, wonderful. You have shared so many good things for all the people, especially women around in our discussion right now. But this is just only one episode, and there is so much to still learn from you, Rachel. And that can only happen when they come to you. So, how can people know more about you, and how also can people who want to be professionally engaged with you, they can do that?
Well, please reach out to me. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all under Rachel Lavin Wellness. I also have a website, Rachel Lavin Wellness. You can find my book on Amazon.com. But I love talking about this and I love helping people. So please reach out to me, even if you have a couple of questions. I'm always available. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thanks for having me.